All right, here we go, guys. We're looking at dates to know for the SOL for Virginia and United States history via U.S. timeline. What is the year of the first permanent English settlement established at Jamestown? It was funded or paid for by the Virginia Company of London. They're a joint stock company of investors. 1607. Very good. What are we looking at? Jamestown. Good job. That's a map or a primary document. Very good.
What year were the first Africans brought to Jamestown?
Good job. 1619. Remember, the first group were indentured servants, and 50 years later they become slaves owned for life, chattel slaves. In what years was the Virginia House of Burgesses up and running in Jamestown? They established law and order in the colony. They are the first representative government in the English colonies. They later became the Virginia General Assembly, still in existence after the start of the American Revolution. 1640s, good job. Their first meeting was in 1619. Ladies and gents, let's pull it together here. Thank you. All right, here we have First Colonial Assembly in Virginia.
In what years did the colonial religious revival known as the Great Awakening take place? This religious movement led to the establishment of the Baptists and the Methodists. The Great Awakening also inspired the patriot spirit in the American Revolution.
Mid-1700s.
Nice, good job. What are we looking at here? George Whitefield is leading a revival. Good job. A revival. Nice.
What do they do in revival again?
Preach. And they're like reborn again Christians or born for the first time Christians. Thank you. All right. What year was the Proclamation of 1763 issued by King George III? It prohibited colonial settlers to move west of the Appalachian Mountains. This was in response to the end of the French and Indian War and the Native American uprising known as Pontiac's War in the Ohio River Valley.
Proclamation of 1663.
Yeah, good job. It's 1763. Remember, take a look at this map. If you see that proclamation line, you might get a map related to the Proclamation of 1763. And as Coach has said, we must dominate these map questions. We should never miss one. Always look for your legend and your context clues.
What year did the American Revolution begin at Lexington and Concord in Massachusetts? Remember, Massachusetts Minutemen fighting the British in the skirmish at Lexington and Concord.
1780.
Nope. 1775. Good job. Here we got the Minutemen at Lexington. What year was the Declaration of Independence written by Thomas Jefferson and signed by members or delegates of the Second Continental Congress? July 4th, 1776. Good job. I heard you up there. Nice work. Is this the way it looked?
No.
Nope. That is not the way it looked.
What year did the American Revolution end at the Battle of Yorktown? Lord Cornwallis. Hey! What year did the American Revolution end at the Battle of Yorktown? Lord Cornwallis surrendered to General Washington.
Good job. 1781. That's a surrender at Yorktown. See Washington off in the distance. Cornwallis's aid surrenders to Washington's aid. What year was the United States Constitution adopted?
September 17th, 1787.
Good job. September 17th, 1787. We see a couple of important people here. We see the father of the Constitution, James Madison, and we see George Washington, the man that presided over the convention, or the sort of chairman of the convention. We got some other guys that we can recognize, like Ben Franklin and Roger Sherman over here. But we got to remember Madison and Washington for the Constitutional Convention.
What year was Thomas Jefferson elected president over John Adams in the first peaceful change of power in U.S. history?
Good job. A lot of you guys knew that one. Election of 1800. Adams was a Federalist and one of the leaders of the Federalist Party. And then obviously Jefferson was the founder of the Democratic Republican Party. What year did President Thomas Jefferson purchase the Louisiana Territory for $15 million from France? Remember, the following year he sends Lewis and Clark. 1803. Now, let's take a look at this map. I know we've talked about this before. There is a chance that you are going to get a Manifest Destiny map. They can ask you about the Louisiana Purchase from France, the purchase of Florida from Spain through the Adams-Onis Treaty. They can ask you about the Texas Revolution, where the Texans defeated the Mexican army and were a country for 9 years before they became a state in 1845. The Oregon Territory split with England following the War of 1812. That wasn't resolved until 1846. And then all this territory, California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, New Mexico, part of Colorado, and that border of Texas, that was all gained as a result of the Mexican War in 1846, 1848.
What year did President James Madison declare war on Great Britain in the War of 1812?
Very good. Some of this we don't have to overthink it. What year was the Missouri Compromise adopted to make Missouri a slave state and Maine a free state? It was established by Henry Clay, the great compromiser, to help keep the free state, slave state balance along the 36-degree parallel latitude line in the United States. 1820. All right, take a look at the map. You see the 36-degree parallel line. Everything down here, with the exception of Missouri and those slave states that already exist, will be slave. Everything above will be free. Hence, this is Henry Clay's way of keeping the country out of what? Civil War. Good job.
What year was the Monroe Doctrine issued to warn European nations to stay out of American affairs in the Western Hemisphere? Monroe no longer wanted Europe to invade or colonize the Americas. America would stay out of European affairs, and Europe would stay out of American affairs.
1823. Good job. Here we got a political cartoon on the left related to the Monroe Doctrine, and then that is James Monroe putting his hand up toward Europe. What year was the Tariff of 1832 passed that nearly caused South Carolina to secede from the Union because they wanted to nullify or get rid of the tariff?
1832.
Good job. Remember, a tariff is a tax on imported goods. The South hated tariffs because they had to move perishable goods to market, like tobacco and cotton. It is 1832. Remember, this is where Andrew Jackson and John C. Calhoun squared off, and Jackson was threatening to go hang John C. Calhoun from a tree.
What year did the United States fight in the Mexican War to gain the territories of California, New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and Nevada?
Next decade. 1840s. Good job. 1846 to 1848. You don't need to worry about the troop movements of John C. Fremont or Stephen Kearny. What you need to know is that if you see a map and all of this territory is highlighted, that is the territory gained by the Mexican War. In what decade were the lame duck presidents in office? These presidents were seen as ineffective leaders. They include Millard Fillmore, Franklin Pierce, and James Buchanan. Good job. There they are, and there's my lame duck. Just a bad joke. All right.
What year was the Kansas-Nebraska Act passed to allow for popular sovereignty, where voted for a state to be a freer slave state, and the Kansas-Nebraska Territory? Remember that this led to Bleeding Kansas because people were fighting over the issue of Kansas becoming a freer slave state.
Good job. 1854. This is about the best map I've ever seen for this issue because look, it shows you in green all your free states. It shows you blue all of your slave states. But check it out. In orange, these are all the territories that they are allowing for popular sovereignty, meaning that people can go vote whether they want slavery or not. But those people are what? They're white, and they're male, and they're over 21. Okay? So that makes this whole issue that much worse and that much more racist.
What year was Abraham Lincoln elected president? He was the first Republican to be elected president in the election of
1860. Good job. Political cartoon of him winning the race. It was a 4-candidate race. He was running as the Republican candidate. Why is it easy for us to remember that he was the Republican candidate?
Did he create the party?
Nice job. He's one of the founders of the party. Good job. He's running against Stephen Douglas, who he had lost to in the Illinois Senate race. He's running against John C. Breckinridge and John Bell. Here's what's interesting. He was very tall. Breckinridge and Stephen Douglas were running as Democrats. So it split the vote between Northern and Southern Democrats. That was a big reason why Lincoln was able to kind of run away with this race in that political cartoon, which will ultimately lead to what happening? What's the South going to do in response? Secede. They're going to break away. Good job. So what year did the American Civil War start at Fort Sumter in South Carolina? And in that same year, President Abraham Lincoln called for federal troops. Good job. Fort Sumter, 1861. Ironically, that tariff of abominations in 1832, that allowed President Andrew Jackson to get a thing called the Force Bill, where he could raise an army if a state went into rebellion. Well, that very bill gave Lincoln the ability to raise an army to try to stop the formation of the Confederate States. That didn't stop them, and we're going to look at a 4-year Civil War.
What year was the Homestead Act passed that allowed settlers to move west to buy land for $1.25 an acre? There were stipulations or strings attached to the Homestead Act. Settlers had to build a home and farm the land.
Close. Go the other way. 1862. Good job. My two favorite images from the Homestead Act, the little propaganda flyer on the left, millions of acres. And then on the right, that's a homesteader family. What type of wagon? The minivan of the era were they moving west in? It's called a Conestoga wagon. Conestoga wagon.
What?
I've been talking about it all year. No. I'm just trying to, bring a little more info to your brain. All right.
What year did the Civil War end when Robert E. Lee surrendered to Ulysses S. Grant at Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia?
Good job. April 9th, 1865, there is Lee surrendering to Grant in Wilbur McLean's parlor room in Appomattox Courthouse. What year did Rutherford B. Hayes, nicknamed Rutherfraud B. Hayes, get elected over Samuel Tilden to bring about the end of Reconstruction? The election of what year? Yes, good job. Election of 1876. I like this little campaign flyer. Tilden Hayes, of the two evils, choose the least.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they weren't very popular candidates. Tilden had been governor of New York, and Hayes had been a Civil War general in the Union Army from Ohio.
What year did Reconstruction end with the election of President Rutherford B. Hayes, the Compromise of 1877, and the end of the Union military occupation in the former Confederate States and the Deep South? This was also the widespread start of the racist Jim Crow laws that segregated free African Americans and took away their basic rights.
Nobody's getting that?
The
Yes, good job. 1877. All right, so this is a political cartoon that's sketched by Thomas Nast. He's a famous political cartoonist that's sort of showing the grave of Reconstruction in memory, Union heroes, and a useless war. It's pretty hardcore. Why is the U.S. flag flying upside down?
why is the what?
So we got the old tattered Confederate flag flying upright and the Union flag flying upside down. We have destroyed homes. We have African Americans back in bondage. Former Confederate shaking the hand of the defeated Union soldier. Lady Liberty crying over the grave of the war and Reconstruction. What's that a symbol of? Distress. Good job. What year was the Chinese Exclusion Act passed by Congress that limited the immigration of Chinese after the transcontinental railroad lines had been built? Good job. 1882. We've gone over this political cartoon pretty frequently. Very racist cartoon of the Chinese trying to break through to America. Chinese were coming here just like every other immigrant group, trying to live the American dream and find work.
What year did World War I begin after the assassination of Austria-Hungary's Archduke Franz Ferdinand and wife by Serbian national Gavrilo Princip, a member of the Black Hand? Remember that this event does not pull the U.S. into the war.
You're close. 19. Good job. 1914. Heir to Austria's throne is slain with his wife by a Bosnian youth to avenge seizure of his country. Pretty good chance you might actually see that very newspaper on the test right there. Okay, what year did America enter World War I? Events like the sinking of the Lusitania, Zimmerman Note, Bolshevik Revolution, and our close relationship with Great Britain pulled us into the war. In his declaration of war, President Woodrow Wilson said, "America must make the world safe for democracy." You're close. Other way. Yes, 1917. Good job. There we have the sinking of Lusitania and Germany writing the what? Zimmerman note. Very good. Or telegram. Uncle Sam angry over sea.
What year did World War I end with all quiet on the Western Front?
You got it right the first time. Good job. November 11th, 1918. This is the reason that we celebrate Veterans Day on November 11th.
Oh, really?
Yep, that's the reason right there.
Like, so why do we celebrate Memorial Day? Like,
Yeah, that happened. That one comes later.
oh.
All right, what year was the Immigration Restriction Act passed out of a fear that communism would spread to the United States after World War I? This is also known as the Quota Act, and remember, our fear of the spread of communism predates World War II. 1921. Good job. We have a first Red Scare and a second Red Scare. Here we have the Quota Act. What group suffered horribly as a result of this at the start of World War II? Huh? Japanese were interned, but there's a group that tries to get to America, but the quota's been filled. Jewish Europeans. Very good.
I was right with you, you were.
I said you.
No, I said you're.
All right. What year did the stock market crash, known as Black Tuesday? It is the beginning of the Great Depression.
Stock market crash.
29. Good job.
I said the name.
Black Tuesday. It's not the only factor. It's just the beginning of the downward spiral that will be the Great Depression.
What year did the Tariff Act of 1930 pass, known as the Hawley-Smoot Tariff, a retaliatory against a foreign country tariff on the thousands of goods that pushed the U.S. closer towards the Great Depression?
You're correct. There's Hawley and Smoot on the top left. Willis C. Hawley and Reed Smoot. Look at that graph. That is staggering. Look at the decline in world trade from 1930 to 1933 as a result of the Hawley-Smoot tariff. That's like the nail in the coffin. Why does it have bigger problems though, guys? Not just for us, but for who else? Yeah. Global trade, especially Europe. So it worsens Europe's depression. What decade did the Great Depression occur? Stocks were worthless. No one, it's a typo, sorry. No one could get credit.
No cold.
I know I messed up there. No one could get credit. Banks failed and unemployment rose to 25%. In the Midwest, the Dust Bowl destroyed farms and homes, but FDR came about and said, "There's nothing to fear but fear itself." And he institutes the New Deal. Good job. It's the 1930s. The 1930s. Good work.
In what decade did the Japanese invade China and Manchuria? The Chinese brutalized those that they conquered in the invasion. In response, the U.S. slowly placed on embargo on oil and steel to slow the Japanese war machine. The Japanese motive to later attack U.S. at Pearl Harbor. 1940s? No.
Nope. Take it back. Yes. It is the 19... What? 30s. Good job. It's the Japanese invasion of Manchuria. How did the Japanese treat the Chinese and the Manchurians? Not good. Not good at all. horribly. Like, some of the things that they did after they conquered were like so grotesque. The world's head still spins thinking about the brutality that the Manchurians and the Chinese faced at the hands of the Japanese in the 1930s. What year did Hitler and the Nazis invade Poland to start World War II? 1939. Good job. There's the Nazis goose-stepping into Poland. September 1st, 1939.
What year did Hitler break the non-aggression pact with Stalin and invade the Soviet Union in Operation Barbarossa?
Uh,
1941. Yeah. This is a great cartoon. Forgive me, comrade, but it seems such a good opportunity. Hitler stabbing Stalin in the back. And you can tell there are two things that the Nazis want as they lead the Blitzkrieg into Russia. They want wheat, land, and oil. Why is it not a good idea to invade Russia?
because Russia is huge. See, last year.
They are massive. What else?
History teacher, he was like, never invade.
Yeah, their weather's harsh.
He was like, never invade Russia. Whatever you do, don't invade Russia.
And what do they have a lot of?
Military.
They had a lot of people and a lot of military, yeah. Who learned, besides Hitler, who learned it the hard way before? No. No who?
What were you asking?
No.
Wait, what was the test?
What'd you learn last year? No.
What do you mean? Wait, what was the question? Yeah, what was the question? I didn't say the question. Germany.
No, little French dude.
Napoleon.
Good job.
Little French dude.
What date was Pearl Harbor attacked by the Japanese? That
Good job. A day that will live in infamy. What ship is being sunk here? Lusitania is before World War I.
named after a state.
Arizona, good job.
I was about to say Michigan.
It is now the memorial. What date was D-Day, Allied invasion of Normandy, France, to liberate Western Europe from Hitler and the Nazis? The U.S. landed on Omaha in Utah. General Dwight D. Eisenhower was the Allied commander of D-Day, Operation Overlord. Good job. June 6th, what year? 1944. All right, here we have U.S. soldiers landing on the beaches at D-Day. Why is the National D-Day Memorial in Virginia? Because we lost a lot of guys on Omaha from Virginia. What town lost more guys per capita than any other town? That's where the D-Day Memorial is. Starts with a B. On the western side of the state. Not too far from Roanoke. Bedford, Virginia. Bedford. You guys need to go visit there. It's worth your time. All right, what year did World War II end and the Cold War begin? The Potsdam Conference between Churchill, Truman, and Stalin was a meeting to discuss the end of World War II in the Pacific. U.S. atomic bombs will be dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but it also is seen as the start of the Cold War.
1945.
Good job. 1945. Why is Truman in the middle? Truman was trying to like keep the peace because Churchill and Stalin were not fond of each other. Why is Roosevelt not in this picture? He is dead. Rest in peace, FDR.
In what decade was the Cold War build-up and the Korean War fought? The Korean War was fought to prevent the spread of communism from North Korea to South Korea.
1970.
Nope. Nope.
Where were we?
Good job.
Just keep working up. It's a timeline, people. Keep working up.
Somebody, you said it, the 1950s. Good job, the 1950s. Korean War starts in 50, ends in 53, and the Cold War buildup continues throughout the 1950s. Remember Eisenhower's plan, massive retaliation against the Soviets? Why is the Korean War considered the forgotten war? Why? It's between what and what? Well, it was between North and South, but it was between World War II and what war? Vietnam. Okay? But we must never forget the sacrifice of Americans, United Nations soldiers, and Koreans during this war. What was the date of Brown v. Board of Education, Topeka, Kansas? Thurgood Marshall was the lead NAACP defense lawyer to desegregate schools. And we can't forget the Davis v. Board case. That was the case led by Oliver Hill. Good job. May 17th, 1954. There's Thurgood Marshall in the middle.
What year did Fidel Castro lead the communist revolution in Cuba?
It's earlier than that. Earlier. Good job, guys. 1959. Fidel.
How do I not know this? This is my grandfather.
In what decade did American military buildup occur in Vietnam? It started under John F. Kennedy and intensified under Lyndon B. Johnson with the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution. Good job. 1960s. All right. Thank you.
In what decade did the NASA space program begin? Remember that the NASA Space Center in Florida was named for JFK, and the one in Texas is named for LBJ.
60s.
JFK.
Well, he was the one that led the New Frontier. We're gonna do the other thing and go to the moon. 1960s. So, pretty easy for you to remember. You got 2 astronauts that you need to know. 3. 2 of which did missions in the 60s. John Glenn orbits the Earth in 1962 and walks on the moon in 1969. We also need to know Sally Ride. She becomes your first female astronaut, but that's after the 60s.
And what year was the Cuban Missile Crisis? JFK and Nikita Khrushchev squared off for 13 days of intense negotiation. The Soviets blinked and removed the missiles to prevent nuclear war.
Good job. 1962. Eyes up at the board. I think that you might see that political cartoon. I think you might. Cuban Missile Crisis. Soviets blinked. They removed their missiles. But we had to agree to do what with Cuba? Leave them alone. Very good. Did we remove our missiles from Turkey? Nope. All right, what year was the nonviolent mass protest civil rights march on Washington? Dr. King gave his I Have a Dream speech. Good job. 1963. Well done.
What year was JFK assassinated in Dallas, Texas?
45.
63.
63, assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald, November 22nd, 1963. This is just minutes before he was killed. Yes, he did. What year was the Civil Rights Act of 1964 signed into law by LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson? The law desegregated all public places and facilities. Good job. There's LBJ. Who's behind him? Dr. King. What year was the Voting Rights Act of 1965 signed into law by Lyndon B. Johnson? This law increased African American voter registration and outlawed literacy tests for voting.
65.
1965. Here's Lyndon B. Johnson and Dr. King again. What year did Neil Armstrong walk on the moon? He was the first man on the moon. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. We just said it earlier.
Was it Neil Armstrong?
1969. Good job. Hold on one second. All right. In what decade did the United States and Richard Nixon attempt to use Vietnamization to withdraw U.S. soldiers from Vietnam? It was meant to be honorable, but it did not turn out as such due to continued military operations. South Vietnam was unable to stop the spread of communism and fell to North Vietnam on April 30th, 1975. Good job, the 1970s. There's Nixon explaining what to you? Everything. Vietnamization, good job. All right. I'll
What
kick it
year
back.
did North Vietnam take over South Vietnam? Saigon fell. It was renamed Ho Chi Minh City.
We just saw it.
75.
Good job. April 30th, 1975. What's being evacuated here? The U.S. Embassy in Saigon. Very good. What year did George H.W. Bush become president? Read my lips, America. No new taxes. George H.W. Bush.
1990.
You're close.
85, 95.
80.
87.
89. Good job. 1989, he won the election of 1988. He defeated Michael Dukakis.
Oh, well.
Yeah, Woe is right. A lot of people don't remember him. A lot of people also don't remember the guy behind him. That is his vice president, Dan Quayle. Interesting guy. Poor old Dan Quayle. Good guy. All right.
What year did the Persian Gulf War begin? Saddam Hussein and his Iraqi forces invaded Kuwait along the Persian Gulf. The U.S. led the UN military action known as Desert Storm.
1990.
Good job. 1990. Who are we looking at here shaking hands with Desert Storm soldiers? H.W. Bush. Good job. He and his wife, Barbara, went to visit. Mm-hmm. What year did William Bill J. Jefferson Clinton become president? Let's just call him Bill Clinton, since that's what everybody else calls him. He brokered the highly controversial NAFTA trade deal with Mexico and Canada. Viewed as a centrist, moderate president, as he had to work with a Republican-controlled Congress throughout his tenure? You guys are close.
Guys, that's tough.
You're going the wrong direction now.
93.
Good job. 1993.
That.
Bill Clinton. See his wife Hillary. Al Gore. Bonus question, who is the Chief Justice that swore him into office? HWNW. He is our judicial restraint justice we learned about. He was put on the court by Reagan.
Is it the old guy that doesn't talk?
Well, this guy's passed away since.
Oh, no, never mind.
William
The
Rehnquist.
Ham.
William Rehnquist.
Ham.
All right. The more you know. So who did Clinton defeat in this presidential election? It was a three-way race. Bush and? Nope.
Nixon.
Nope. Nope. Ross Perot.
I didn't even know. Like,
It's up there. Look. On the board.
where?
Top left.
Oh, right.
Aha. So Ross Perot and Bush split the Republican vote.
2000.
Okay, you're close. He won the What year did George W. Bush become president? He won the election of 2000 against Al Gore. So close that it went to the Supreme Court. So he became president. Good job. I heard it over here. 2000 and not 1. All right, 2001. Got William Rehnquist in here. The Bush daughters. There's his wife Laura. Vice President Dick Cheney. And old Mitch McConnell in the background there. All right. That's his wife. That's his daughter. And there's his other daughter.
It's not blonde. I still consider it.
Jenna Bush. Jenna and I'm trying to think. Can somebody look up what the other Bush daughter's name is real quick? This is Jenna. That's Laura. There's Rehnquist.
Is it Barbara?
It is Barbara. Yeah, she's named after the grandmother. Nice job. It is Barbara. She is named after her grandmother. All right. Okay.
9/11.
What date were the terrorist attacks on the Trade Center and Pentagon?
9/11.
Those attacks led to the passage of the 2001 Patriot Act that established Department of Homeland Security and surveillance program for the NSA. Where are you guys going? They said tech doesn't leave till 10:45. I will double check, but I was almost positive they said tech's not leaving until later. Like way later.
Let's get these last two before anything's going on with tech. Let's get these last two done, and that is what date?
9/11.
9/11, September 11th, 2001. Thanks, guys. Hey, let's bring it down. Thank you. What year did Barack Obama become president?
2009.
Good job. His government-sponsored universal health care plan, Obamacare, was one measure that brought about an end to the Reagan Revolution, and that is 2009. Good job, guys. All right, here's President Obama and Michelle Obama, and we have a new Chief Justice. William Rehnquist is no longer there. Who is that? Where's my government students? What's up? It's not Scalia. Justice John Roberts, ladies and gentlemen. Who's back here? John Boehner. All right. No, I'm just helping you guys out here. All right. That's that.